The reason I'm not a big fan of the Railmaster goes back to 1957, back when they named it. They should have named this something different, like the Gauze-master or the Mag-master. The Mag-master. I guess everybody else is talking about these watches, so why don't I put my 2 cents in? Back in 1957, Omega released a trilogy of work watches. First of which we're talking about today is the Railmaster. The other two, of course, were the Seamaster 300 and the very famous Speedmaster. All 3 of these were meant to be great working watches. Everybody knows what the other 2 were designed for, but the Railmaster was designed to withstand massive amounts of magnetization. I'm pretty certain it was an answer to the Rolex Milgauss, which was released a year before in 1956. But the reason they called it the Railmaster is because it was designed for engineers and people who worked on the railways, because they deal with lots of magnetization. But the watch industry already had railroad watches. Back in 1893 in America, there was a list of requirements that were made to make a watch railroad approved. And some of those requirements involved things that were only found on pocket watches. In 1957, when the Railmaster was released, pocket watches were kind of out of fashion. But some of the requirements for a railroad watch could apply to a wristwatch. The 2 big factors of a railroad watch were how accurate it was and how resistant to magnetism it is. But the aesthetics of the railroad watch is what was really important. A railroad watch had requirements that it needed to be a white dial with black Arabic numbers, so it was easy to read. But the original Railmaster, or any other iteration of it, don't have any tie-in to what a railroad watch should look like. The Rolex Milgauss was marketed as a scientific watch. They tried to sell it to people who worked in labs and other engineers that worked with magnets. And it's always had its own unique features. Even though it was on an oyster case with a rotating bezel, it featured that signature lightning bolt seconds hand, setting it apart from everything else. And in 2007, in an anniversary edition, they added the green sapphire crystal, which was like super quirky. It really set this thing apart from any other watch that was on the market. But this watch is just an Aquaterra without a date and Arabic numbers. There's nothing really special about it. But with the existing history of railroad watches in the watch industry, why would Omega try to redefine that? They should have named this something different, like the Gauze-master or the Mag-master. The Mag-master. That sounds cool. This thing was so lame that within 10 years they stopped production of it because nobody wanted it. And now it just feels like they're bringing it back so that you can think that it's retro. They even put like a aged finish on it. I'm not saying